The shipping manifest appeared completely legitimate. Container cargo from South America to Europe. Standard commercial goods. Textiles, electronics, agricultural products. Documentation flawless. Customs inspections passed without issue. But an intelligence analyst noticed something impossible. The same shipping routes were being used by 4 different cartels from 3 continents. Organizations that had been violent competitors for decades were suddenly sharing logistics infrastructure. This is the story of how 5 major drug cartels formed an unprecedented alliance to control the world's most profitable smuggling corridors. How they infiltrated legitimate shipping companies and port operations across 22 countries. And how their coordination threatened to make narcotics interdiction impossible. The operation would move $12 billion in drugs annually through routes law enforcement couldn't touch. It would corrupt port operations on 4 continents. And it would require an international task force operating in complete secrecy to dismantle. The world never knew that drug cartels had formed a criminal NATO. Never knew that legitimate global trade routes had been hijacked by organized crime. Never knew that stopping them would require the largest coordinated strike against narcotics trafficking in history, until the secret elite decided the alliance needed to be broken. The cartel convergence, the meeting that changed everything, occurred 2 years ago. Representatives from 5 major drug cartels gathered for the first time in history, not to negotiate territory or end conflicts, but to form an alliance. The participants represented the most powerful trafficking organizations on 3 continents. South American cocaine cartel controlling production, Mexican organization dominating North American routes, West African network managing transatlantic trafficking, European syndicate controlling final distribution, Southeast Asian operation managing precursor chemicals for synthetics. These organizations had been competitors and violent enemies for decades. Territorial disputes killed thousands. Competition for routes fueled endless conflict. Cooperation seemed impossible, but new cartel leadership recognized a fundamental reality. Competition was expensive and risky. Law enforcement exploited cartel conflicts. Interdiction focused on known routes. Violence attracted attention and enforcement resources. What if they stopped competing and started cooperating? The proposal was radical. Create an alliance to share routes, divide territories without conflict, and most critically, infiltrate and control legitimate shipping infrastructure moving goods globally. Instead of smuggling around the system, become part of it. The economics were compelling. Working together, cartels could reduce costs, minimize interdiction risk, dramatically increase volume. The logistics were elegant. Use container ships moving legitimate commerce to move narcotics. Infiltrate port operations to ensure shipments pass customs without genuine inspection. Coordinate timing so enforcement attention was always focused elsewhere. Over 2 years, the alliance achieved something unprecedented. They infiltrated 47 legitimate shipping companies across 22 countries. They corrupted port officials at 18 major maritime facilities. They created a trafficking network moving narcotics, using the same routes as legitimate international trade. The scale was staggering. $12 billion in drugs moved annually through alliance-controlled routes. Cocaine from South America, heroin from Asian sources, synthetic drugs from precursor chemicals, marijuana from multiple regions, all moving in containers alongside televisions, clothing, and agricultural products. The alliance achieved near immunity from interdiction. Traditional law enforcement focused on known smuggling routes. They looked for secret compartments, hidden packages, submarine vessels. They didn't inspect every shipping container moving through legitimate trade. An impossibility given international commerce volume. The alliance weaponized that blind spot. Their narcotics moved in containers with proper documentation, passing through ports where officials were bribed to wave shipments through. Containers looked identical to millions of others. Finding drugs required inspecting every container. Impossible. But alliance reach extended beyond moving drugs. They infiltrated financial infrastructure processing shipping fees, port charges, logistics payments. Criminal money laundered through the same banking handling legitimate trade finance. Billions in drug proceeds disappeared into global financial systems as apparently legitimate revenue. The 5 cartel leaders communicated through encrypted channels and met quarterly. They established a council system requiring consensus, preventing any single organization from dominating. They created enforcement mechanisms where violations resulted in coordinated action against offenders. They had created a criminal international trade organization. with bylaws, dispute resolution, coordinated planning, strategic decision-making, professionalization of what had been chaotic competition. The alliance operated 2 years before law enforcement realized it existed. Initial signs were subtle. Seizure rates dropping across regions simultaneously. Trafficking organizations that were enemies showing no territorial conflicts. Cocaine prices dropping, suggesting increased supply. Shipping routes shared by organizations with no cooperation history, but evidence was dismissed as coincidence. The idea that major cartels would cooperate seemed implausible given decades of violent competition, until an analyst noticed the impossible pattern. An investigation revealed the alliance's full scope. The maritime investigation. The breakthrough came from a financial intelligence specialist tracking money, laundering through trade-based schemes. She examined shipping companies processing payments and patterns suggesting false invoicing. She noticed something unusual. Multiple shipping companies across countries were processing transactions with similar timing patterns and financial structures. Companies appeared unrelated, different ownership, registrations, operational histories. But financial patterns were too similar for coincidence. She expanded investigation to examine shipping routes. They all service the same major corridors: South America to Europe, Asia to North America, Africa to European ports. The world's busiest shipping lanes moving millions of containers annually. She cross-referenced routes with known drug trafficking patterns. Cocaine production in South America aligned with shipments to European ports. Heroin sources in Asia corresponded to North American routes. Precursor chemical movements matched synthetic drug production locations. Investigation expanded. Surveillance targeted port facilities in 6 countries. Investigators documented unusual patterns. Certain containers passing customs with minimal inspection. Port workers directing specific shipments to particular inspection lanes. Shipping company employees with financial connections to known trafficking organizations. Communications intercepts revealed coded discussions about special cargo and priority shipments. Financial analysis showed money moving from cartel-controlled accounts to shipping personnel. Surveillance documented meetings between individuals from different cartels, organizations that should have been competitors. The picture emerging over 4 months was unprecedented. 5 major drug cartels had formed operational alliance. They infiltrated dozens of legitimate shipping companies and corrupted port operations across continents. They were moving billions through legitimate trade routes using methods making interdiction nearly impossible. Alliance created redundancy protecting the network. If one company was compromised, shipments moved through others. If one port became problematic, routes shifted to alternatives. If one cartel faced enforcement pressure, others absorbed the load. System designed to resist traditional law enforcement. Intelligence went to national security agencies in multiple countries. The coordination challenge was immense. Cartels operated across 22 countries with different legal systems, varying corruption levels, inconsistent capabilities. Traditional approaches wouldn't dismantle a network this distributed and sophisticated. Assessment reaching secret elite was clear. This alliance represented existential threat to narcotics interdiction. If allowed to continue, drug trafficking would become effectively undetectable. Billions in criminal proceeds would continue flowing through legitimate systems. Port infrastructure corruption would spread. Dismantling required simultaneous operations across 4 continents targeting shipping infrastructure, port operations, financial networks, and cartel leadership, all before any element could warn others. Authorization came within 1 week. Operation would be largest coordinated strike against narcotics trafficking in history. The infiltration phase. Preparation required 12 weeks of intensive intelligence collection. 47 shipping companies needed infiltration. 18 ports required surveillance. 5 cartel organizations needed penetration. Undercover operatives embedded as logistics coordinators, port workers, administrative staff. They documented which containers received special handling, which routes were prioritized for minimal inspection, which personnel facilitated smuggling. At major European port, operative working as customs inspector documented how specific containers were directed to lanes staffed by corrupted personnel. These inspectors scanned documentation without examining cargo, stamping containers for release without verification. The operative identified 12 corrupted inspectors at a single facility. Intelligence teams tracked financial infrastructure. They identified 43 banks and money service businesses processing payments connected to alliance operations. They traced shell companies obscuring ownership of infiltrated shipping firms. They mapped drug proceeds flow through trade finance. Communications intercepts revealed alliance coordination mechanisms. Five-Cartel leaders held quarterly meetings, location changing each time. They communicated through encrypted channels managed by technical specialists. They had protocols for dispute resolution, profit sharing, operational coordination. Surveillance identified operational leadership. Five cartel bosses rarely met beyond quarterly meetings, but each organization had operational commanders managing day-to-day alliance activities. 42 individuals across 5 organizations held these command positions, directing shipments, managing corrupted personnel, ensuring alliance operations ran smoothly. Intelligence picture became comprehensive. Secret elite knew which companies were infiltrated, which ports corrupted, which personnel facilitated smuggling, which routes were used, who commanded operations. They identified financial infrastructure, documented communication channels, located leadership. They also identified Alliance's next major operation. Series of coordinated shipments moving unprecedented volumes scheduled over 10 days. 34 containers through 8 ports on 4 continents. $400 million in drugs. Largest single operation Alliance attempted. Timing provided opportunity. If operation executed during this period, enforcement could seize massive shipment while simultaneously dismantling the network. Alliance would lose current operations and future capability in one coordinated strike. 0 hour set for 0400 hours coordinated across multiple time zones. 14 days after authorization, largest coordinated strike against organized crime in history would begin. Our Sanbralbart, the global strike. Operation launched with surgical precision across 4 continents and 8 time zones. 53 tactical teams deployed. Coordination unprecedented. Naval vessels positioned to intercept shipping. Port authorities prepared for raids. Financial investigators ready to freeze assets. Arrest teams positioned near cartel leadership. Fund Phase 1, seize the shipments. 34 containers moving through 8 ports represented Alliance's largest operation. Intelligence identified each container's location, contents, schedule. At South American port, 6 containers loading onto cargo vessel bound for Europe. Port authorities conducted inspections appearing routine. They opened specific containers and discovered 400 kilograms of cocaine hidden behind legitimate agricultural products. Containers seized. Corrupted port workers arrested. At Asian port, 8 containers awaiting transfer to North America identified through precise intelligence. Inspectors found 320 kilograms of heroin concealed in electronics shipments. Across 8 ports on 4 continents, pattern repeated. Containers identified through months of intelligence were inspected. Drugs discovered and seized. Corrupted personnel arrested. Shipping company employees detained. By 0800 hours across all time zones, all 34 containers intercepted. $400 million in narcotics seized. Alliance's largest operation completely compromised. Phase 2, dismantle port infrastructure. As shipments seized, simultaneous operations targeted corrupted personnel and infiltrated companies. Raids at 18. Major ports arrested 147 individuals, customs inspectors, port workers, shipping employees, security personnel facilitating smuggling, each charged with corruption, drug trafficking, or organized crime. 47 infiltrated shipping companies exposed through coordinated regulatory actions. Business licenses suspended. Corporate accounts frozen. Ownership structures examined. Corrupted systems dismantled. Phase 3. Apprehend operational leadership. 42 operational commanders managing day-to-day alliance activities targeted for simultaneous apprehension across 15 countries. Many arrested through coordinated action with local law enforcement. Others extracted through classified methods. 3 attempted flight, all intercepted. By end of first operational day, all 42 commanders in custody or eliminated. Alliance's command structure decapitated. Phase 4. Neutralize cartel leadership. 5 cartel bosses targeted. 2 in South America. 1 arrested in coordinated raid. 1 eliminated after armed resistance. 1 in West Africa extracted through maritime operation. 1 in Southeast Asia arrested through regional cooperation. Final boss intercepted attempting to flee across borders. Within 72 hours, all 5 bosses in custody, eliminated or apprehended. Leadership that created alliance completely neutralized. Phase 5. Dismantle financial infrastructure. Financial networks targeted through coordinated regulatory actions. Bank accounts frozen. Transactions scrutinized. Money laundering investigations initiated. Shell companies exposed. Corporate registrations challenged. Financial structures hiding criminal control dismantled. 43 banks and money service businesses faced regulatory scrutiny. Some lost licenses. Others faced massive fines. All lost ability to process payments for criminal operations. The alliance that broke. Operational assessment told the story. 34 drug shipments seized containing $400 million in narcotics. 147 corrupted port personnel arrested. 47 infiltrated shipping companies exposed. 42 operational commanders apprehended. 5 cartel bosses in custody or eliminated. 43 financial institutions facing action. $8 billion in assets frozen. Most significant outcome was ending alliance itself. For first time in history, major drug cartels from 3 continents formed operational partnership. They created trafficking system, threatening to make narcotics interdiction obsolete. They infiltrated legitimate, global trade infrastructure on unprecedented scale. And in 12 hours of coordinated operations, alliance was shattered. Cartels would rebuild. New leaders would emerge. Trafficking would continue through new methods. But alliance coordinating operations across continents and infiltrating global shipping was permanently broken. Trust enabling cooperation was destroyed. Infrastructure making coordination possible was dismantled. Leadership that negotiated alliance was eliminated. Financial systems processing billions were compromised. Individual cartels could survive and adapt, but alliance making them collectively more powerful was ended. Order. Now. The trade routes that were reclaimed. The world never knew drug cartels formed criminal NATO. Never knew legitimate shipping companies infiltrated to move billions in drugs. Never knew port operations on 4 continents corrupted to facilitate trafficking. Never knew global trade routes hijacked by organized crime. News mentioned drug seizures at multiple ports. Arrests in various countries. Investigations into shipping corruption. Standard coverage of periodic law enforcement actions. What wasn't reported was scale and coordination. 34 simultaneous seizures. 53 tactical teams across 8 time zones. Largest coordinated strike against narcotics trafficking in history. Alliance of 5 major cartels dismantled in 12 hours. Because revealing full scope would damage confidence in global trade security. Would raise questions about cartel infiltration of legitimate companies. Would expose extent of port corruption. Would make international commerce seem vulnerable. Secret elite operated to eliminate threat while preserving systems needing protection. Alliance broken. Infrastructure reclaimed. Trafficking stopped. But method and scale remained classified. In files that don't officially exist, complete record remains. Intelligence documenting 5 cartels forming unprecedented alliance. Investigation revealing infiltration of 47 companies and 18 ports. Operational logs detailing coordinated strikes. Assessment of how alliance threatening global drug interdiction was dismantled. And simple conclusion: alliance formed, infrastructure infiltrated, coordination achieved, 12 billion annual trafficking enabled. Alliance identified, network infiltrated, strike coordinated, system dismantled. Threat eliminated. Cartels believed they created something untouchable. Alliance making them stronger together. Infrastructure making trafficking nearly impossible to interdict. Routes invisible within legitimate commerce. They believed until simultaneous operations across 4 continents seized shipments, arrested personnel, apprehended leadership, dismantled infrastructure. Alliance operating 2 years, infiltrating global trade routes, moving $12 billion annually was ended. Trade routes reclaimed, ports secured, shipping companies freed from criminal control, and somewhere in classified files, final notation. 5 cartels formed alliance, infiltrated global trade infrastructure, processed 12 billion annually, operated 2 years. Alliance identified, network dismantled, leadership eliminated, infrastructure reclaimed. 0 alliance remaining.